Yeah, I mean, just really proud of the group. A difficult game versus a really good team in New England, a team that's been stingy, giving up goals, and really difficult to play against. And they have really good defense, and they got some really good attacking players. There's moments and periods in the game where we weren't our best, that we had to push through and suffer. But great responses by the team. Great responses by the team, and a lot of guys stepped up tonight. A real team performance.
Yeah, BJ, I wanted to start just by asking about Chris Applewhite. Obviously a big game for him to come into, and probably not the best job on the two goals, but then he stepped up after that. He had a huge tackle on Maxi Urruti in the second half. Just what did you make of how he kind of adapted to the game and grew into it?
Yeah, again, I think all these experience that he's getting are going to help him, grow and get better. Of course, he's probably going to be disappointed in some of the, final action goals, but you look at the way he responds, the way he stays composed, and the way he stays himself. Just another night of him taking a step forward. Really proud of him, and again, he's up against some really good attacking players, and I think he did a job that he can be proud of, but at the same time did a job that he can reflect on and know that there's still room to grow, and that's what we expect. But we're confident to put young players on the field. We do what we say we're going to do, and that's it. And he's a shining example of that.
And then I know we've talked about Sam a lot lately, but I mean, he just keeps scoring. Leading the Golden Boot race right now, a huge performance to get the win tonight. Do you feel like this was maybe in response to not making the All-Star team?
I don't. We don't really get into that. I'm just happy he's scoring and keeps scoring. It's our job as a team to continue to get him, the ball in positions where he scores. Tonight, that first one on the back post is a vintage type of Sam play. And again, he's scoring, but there's so many other ways that he's contributing as well, which is what we're most proud about.
Yeah, BJ, I guess what did you make of Johnny Perez's performance on that right wing? I guess what gave you what went to the decision to give him the start tonight?
Johnny earned the start. The work that he's been putting in training, the opportunities that he's getting in the games, he's making impacts. So he's earned that opportunity. And for me, I thought he did a good job. He was a dangerous player. He cuts in on the right hand side. He's able to find ways to shoot. Hits the post. Obviously, has the great sort of service to Sam. Just a good performance. On the other side, I think you're watching a guy develop into a more complete player. I thought his defensive work was really good. His recognition of pressing triggers was good. And so testament to his work, every day to improve himself and make himself a more complete player. And I thought we saw glimpses of that tonight.
You've played four teams twice now this year, and you've won all four of those matches. I guess what goes into that, getting ready to play a team a second time, and also looking forward with this question too, obviously playing DC United on Saturday.
Yeah, we constantly, I constantly say, we constantly do that. We are a learning and growing environment. We have ways that we want to evaluate our performances. We don't get high when we win. We don't get low when we lose. We just stick to how we prepare for opponents. And I think, that's what we take takeaways from playing them. And then we try to improve ourselves so that the next time we play, we're able to, have a better performance. I think that happened tonight. And looking forward to DC United, we need to improve from the last time we had them at Geodis, and now we're back. We stay on the road, but the expectation is the same: 3 points on the road.
Yeah, BJ, tonight with already talking about Johnny Perez and Chris Applewhite. Just I guess when it comes to flipping the switch at the beginning of the season, I mean expectations are you don't really know what you have with your team, and now with your team finally having a true core chemistry when it comes to games week in and week out. I guess what is it for you guys when just to flip the switch for mentality of now being a top 3 team in the East to maybe actually competing for a true MLS title?
For us, we just talk about turning the page every day. We don't have expectations. We don't put expectations on ourselves. My job is to listen to sort of what the team is giving us, In different phases, how guys are feeling, how we can, matchups we can do. Their job's to be prepared and be ready to perform in our sort of, the next man up when your number's called. We know that we're expecting everybody to make contributions over a long MLS season, and we just come to work every day, put our work in, stick to the way we want to play, stick to the way we want to prepare, and again, continue to just turn every page.
Yeah, BJ, we've heard from so many coaches, including yourself, about how hard it is to get results away from home in MLS. You've been able to get 2 wins away now in a row, and you've been overall having a pretty good away showing, I guess I would say. So what do you think the keys are for that, and how important is it to collect these points at this point of the season?
I mean, collecting points is huge, right? Especially when you're playing Eastern Conference games. So the more points you can take and basically takes points off the table for them to earn and gain as you kind of go through the second half of the season. For us, it's about having a consistent mindset, whether we're home or away. We know how we want to play, and we don't want to change that. And so for us, I think that gives us a level of consistency where we don't factor, where we're playing or who we're playing. We want to play our way. But at the same time, we know that there's going to be challenges in each sort of environment that we go to. We're prepared to not be reactive. We want to respond to them. And we talk about that. We train that. And, I know it's cliche, but you try to control what you can control. And that even, that's even heightened in an away match. So the group is doing really good, staying neutral, staying in the middle, and just going about our work each and every day.
And I know you said that, maybe individual awards aren't, or individual honors aren't something maybe you aim for as a team. But how important and how cool it is, I guess, to see Andy Nahar being honored as an MLS All-Star. And what does that say about the culture you're building in Nashville and the team you're building in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we're super proud of Andy, right? Like he's earned this. And coming in and buying into a culture that makes the teammate, makes the team shine, and the team is the shining star. You see those, you'll see individual accolades come from that. And it's not an easy thing to do, but, credit to all the guys around him. There's a great supporting cast for him. And he's well deserving to do it. The work that he puts in every day, again, I've said he's earned that. But for us, we know that individual accolades will come when the team does well. And right now, we want to just continue to do well.
Hey, BJ, Eddie gets the yellow tonight. Does that kind of come with the territory with him? And what do you have to do to replace him in DC?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the season, I thought he was up to yellows earlier in the season and got good behavior. So, we know these things are coming. We're prepared for it. The guys are prepared to step up. We see that each and every week with our team. The next man is up when your number's called. So, we'll be able to put a really good team against DC. We'll rest, we'll recover, we'll travel. We'll start preparing on the airplane, and I'm confident we'll put a good group out there and have a good competitive match versus DC.
Anything else, Corey?
Nope, I'm good. Congrats.
All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll be back with Dan Lovitz in a moment. All right, y'all. We're back with defender Dan Lovitz. We're going to go ahead and just start with questions. Let's start with Ben Wright.
Yeah, Dan, you guys, I think this is the first win that you've ever had in New England. And I think we've just seen kind of an improved form away from home. What do you think has been the difference this year in being able to pick up these, not just these types of wins, but these types of wins away from Nashville?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wasn't aware of that. I'm not entirely shocked. I know it hasn't been like a prolific place for us historically, but I think the key to it, honestly, is just being consistent and being honest with ourselves when we say we're going to focus on being ourselves every game. Not trying to be a chameleon and morph into whatever environment we're going to play and who we're going to play, just trying to do us better. I think we've made strides in being consistent and improving that, and really fine-tuning some details over the break and the schedule, and then being able to come here and know that this is a team that we didn't necessarily have the truest showing of ourselves to open the season in Geodis, and that was probably a few points we felt like we left on the table. So I think everyone across the board was just focused on making sure this one we got all three. Certainly wasn't pretty, and we didn't start either half particularly well, but the resilience to battle back and just pound the rock and know that what we were trying to accomplish was going to give them problems was pretty good from the group, and so we're pretty happy with that.
And then I asked Tani a similar question and would love to get your take from kind of a different area on the field. You guys have been able to close out games in just kind of different ways than we've seen before. Maybe less reactive and kind of frustrating the opponent by just controlling the ball. How important is that to be able to have that kind of that tool in your locker?
It's amazing. It takes a lot of stress off of everybody. The best defense is offense. And of course, we're trying to be cognizant and practical about game script and what part of the game we're in and knowing how to navigate that. But I think when we have the ball, they don't have it. I think that's something that we could really fold in and get better at. Honestly, I know DNA in years past, it's been sort of our MO to sit back and withstand a lot of pressure. And we were kind of good at that for a stretch of time, and then we weren't good at it. And I think this evolution of being a little bit more of killers with the ball, I think when teams are trying to attack and chase a game home or away, I think we have to be smelling blood in the water and know that there is an opportunity for more goals and to really put the nail in the coffin so that these 1-goal, 2-goal leads that we're trying so hard to defend can maybe turn to 3-goal leads like that. And that means being a little bit more brave on the ball. I know Hani talks about it all the time. Everybody's still wanting the ball, not just getting one-track mind with defending and trying to keep the result, but looking for opportunities to really kill the game.
Yeah, Dan, this is the fourth time this season you've played an opponent for the second time, and you've won all 4 of those matches. I guess what goes into that preparation for playing a team a second time around, and I guess how will that come into play Saturday against DC United?
Yeah, great. I mean, it's just another one very similar to these games. These two in particular are ones where we had home results that we didn't really feel entirely happy with. Wasn't our best performance, and just a lot there to be learned. I think each game, especially within conference, you're guaranteed 2 matches against those teams. You obviously are going to look to improve on your past performance. That's going to look a little different for each opponent, obviously, but and as well as if it's home or away the second time. But knowing that these 2 are away, I think it makes it easier just for us to focus on ourselves, and this is a great first step. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but certainly build on things collectively, regardless of the opponent, as we continue to get through the season, but also specifically to the opponent, things that we can look at, even though it was so long ago with this instance with New England opening, game of the season. A lot has happened since then, and we're certainly not the same team, and we're focused on proving that tonight. And then, DC, not so much of a gap in time, but certainly we feel like we've made strides in a lot of different areas. And that's something that we're excited to go and compete and show them this version of ourselves in their stadium. So nothing really changes, just trying to do us better. I know you've heard that a lot, but it is the truth.
And I guess what has been your perspective of Sam Sturridge's recent hot streak? And I guess what what have you seen him doing in just maybe positioning and finishing and getting in areas to score goals?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I played with a lot of forwards in my career, and the age-old adage is it's kind of once you get the first goal, the rest start to come a lot more easily. And that obviously is true for Sam, but for me, he's just somebody that works incredibly hard every single day. And he's never put his head down or hung his head. He's always really focused on getting better every single day and getting sharper. And obviously, once the goals start coming, he's a really dangerous guy to play against. And it's something that we've found out throughout his time here. And having him be so prolific is so important to free up space for other guys, but he's such a killer in the most important moments. And that's what you want from your number 9, and he's a pleasure to play with, and he puts in so much work on the other side of the ball. We're looking every chance we can to find him.
Yeah, Dan, you talk about goals coming easy for strikers like Sam Sturridge, but as for yourself, when it comes to creating, play and just passing the ball in transition, does it start to come a little easier for you guys now that you're almost throughout the season?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a collective effort, obviously, but to have us firing on all cylinders, I think we're working towards that. I don't think this is a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's a lot of guys that are incredibly dangerous going forward that can contribute more, and we're trying to find nuances within each game, and as the season progresses, as to how we can exploit that and showcase that a little bit more consistently. But we're a tough team to play against moving forward. I think being able to sustain the attacks a little bit more, keep teams pinned in their half to create better goal scoring chances, I think is something that we're focused on. It becomes easier and a lot more important when the tempo slows down in these summer games. So I think, our first goal is a great example of that. The first wave doesn't exactly work, then Johnny gets pulled out and cuts back in on his left and floats the ball to the back post. Those are great looks and ones that we can probably do a little bit better job of making more constant or continuously throughout the game. But definitely some great moments out there. I think there's still a lot more to be had, and that's something we'll continue to work on and look forward to, especially with a game not so far away in DC.
And when it comes to Andy Nahar, being an MLS All-Star, just for you, being a teammate, what have you learned from him? If there have been some traits out of his game that you've maybe applied to yours?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have front row seats because I'm on the other side of the field, but it feels like it. It's a pretty special thing to watch and to be a part of. If I'm being honest, I don't know if I've ever seen a fullback operate the way he has this year, especially. I mean, there's certainly things that he's talented with on the ball. He's able to wiggle out of really tight situations. He always has a dribble first mentality. He can get out and almost beat the first guy almost 100% of the time. And he is able to anticipate the ball moving forward into the attack very, very well. Our right side is very hard to defend, and he's a huge part of that. My job when it relates to Andy is just make sure that we're threatening down the left equally and to, a great enough effect that they have to shift, in which opens up more space for him when we switch the ball. So we got to get, like twin turbines down the sidelines on each side. That would be ideal. But right now he's doing a hell of a job, and I'm going to, do my best to get up to his level and continue to contribute offensively.
Hey, Dan, if I did my math right, this is your 12th season as a pro, and it seems like you're having one of your best seasons, at least in Nashville colors, let's say. I know there isn't one reason why this is happening, but if you can just give me some of the factors that you think contributed to the level of performance you're doing out there.
Oh man, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the special sauce is, but I can just tell you that I love this team. I love playing for this team. I feel like I have a club, a coaching staff, and a locker room that believes in me. And when you cross off those few boxes, I think the rest comes relatively naturally. For me, it's just about continuing to get better every year. The goals are great, obviously, and it's definitely a new dynamic to my game that is, been fun to find out about. I've always usually been the one taking the corner kicks or the last man back when Hani was taking it, what have you. But it's fun to be in the mix, being able to affect the scoreline. That's something I take a lot of pride in. It's been really fun to grow into that role specifically. But just continuing to fine-tune my game, feeling great physically, being able to make an impact on the game, both sides of the ball. And honestly, just having fun playing with the guys next to me. I've been able to be incredibly lucky and have continuity and play next to guys like Jack Mayer and Alex Neal, Walker, Joe Willis. When you have familiar faces and you have relationships like that, the rest comes relatively naturally, like I said. So I'm just benefiting from the collective. I'm glad that my name can show up on the score sheet from time to time.